Welcome to my apiary. Today is Thursday, September the 1, 2022, and I'm going to commence harvesting honey, hopefully. So we recently, it was on Tuesday, set escapes on a few of these hives here at the home yard. So I'm going to try and pull some of these. If I can pull it down to the escape, then I'll redeploy the escape on another hive, since I didn't have enough to finish this yard. I have to stagger that. The home yard is a little easier to harvest because I don't have to haul the tractor around, and I can just fill my honey skid and take it to the hot room right away. I have had 6 seasons, I guess, that I've used escapes. I don't know that I used them my first year. Yeah, maybe I did. And I have mixed results. And one of the reasons I have mixed results, I think, is the fact that I'm usually pulling my honey very late, and there's not much of a flow. I think there is a little tiny flow right here, right now. Alfalfa and some of those little sunflowers, those little tiny sunflowers you see. There's goldenrod. There was purple loosestrife, but I think that's gone now. So there's a bunch of other little stuff. There's a little bit of trefoil left hanging around. Thistles. There's sow thistles. So anyway, hopefully I have a little bit of a flow, and these supers will have cleared over the last couple of days. If they didn't, I have a secret weapon which should work today really well. But I'm going to try this just with the escapes to start with, and we'll see what happens. This is the proof in the pudding right here. And I see bees. So, there's not more than a bee or two. And, generally don't get 100% clearing. Tip this up. I hear a lot of bees, but there's probably no more than 10 bees in that medium. And since it's a medium, and it's not even full, I'm just going to hand bomb it over here onto my honey skid. And then there's this deep. Let's see what's in here. There's a little cluster hanging out there. But I can probably shake those. So different lines of defense here against the remaining bees. I can shake them, as I'm about to do. And they're eating that honey. Or I have fume boards waiting at the side here. So just a few. Bee brush would be handy for this too. It's kind of hard to shake honey frames, they're so heavy. Okay. Now that's a honey deep, so I'm going to lift that with my machine. There's no issue at all for the machine. It's a little bit heavy to do by hand. That even sit on there properly. Okay, so now I've got an escape I can reallocate. Let's take a closer look while we're here. So I was pointing out earlier that I like to put a shim under these escape boards because there's not much space. So let's open this up and see how many bees are actually congregated in that area. You see under that escape there a lot. I would say this escape worked really, really well. And another thing I would like to see, I'm going to set this down gently, is how are they making out on this patty. A little bit of consumption from the top and around the edges. Yeah, they're chewing away at it. They're not making any, setting any records, but they're on it. I'd like to put the lid back on this, but if I bump this escape on it, there's not going to be any room. I could set the lid on top of the shim just while I work. Okay. So I think that shim did offer them the space they needed. I don't know that it was absolutely necessary. So second line of defense is fume words. If that doesn't work, then I get the leaf blower out. I could pick this up as a unit with the machine, but I can't really tell if there's bees in it. So I'll just tip it up. We'll check this. That looks good, that looks good. It's hard to see down there. You know, it's always a few bees, right? So I'm gonna pick those up as a pair. Crack that. Still work, you know, even though I got a machine and stuff, it still work. Even 2 full deeps is a good load. Not for the machine. The machine will carry, I've carried, I think 4 or even 5. 4 for sure. And it lifts and carries just fine. But it gets hard to control. You get too much weight on it. You know, uneven ground and everything. I often get worked up around harvest. I'll get stressed out about having to do it all today, overthinking things. What I didn't overthink is what I'm doing here. And, you know, I've just got to take it easy and learn to do things progressively. I'm out here this morning. pull a few boxes. See, not much in this, but there's some foundation that I want to re-wax. So what happens in my process is I'll put that on the honey skid, and that'll end up in the honey house. And then when I extract, I pull the frames out of the extractor, I sort them into different categories. And those will get sorted into boxes that will, wow, that medium is quite heavy. They'll get sorted into boxes. And later on, I'm going to re-wax those frames. Talking to a friend last night. She runs all mediums. And she had a deep mixed in. She had to lift. And she was saying how she just can't imagine how us deep users do it. And I told her that, I told her every time I lift a medium, I wish I was using all mediums, because they're so manageable. They're so manageable. I mean, you can lift deeps if they're not quite full. But see, that was what I'd call a conical escape, and it worked really well too. So I think this is the key. Escapes and a light flow. Because these are clearing quite nicely. I'm not going to bother with these at this point. I'm just going to put the lids on and worry about those later. This one I can't take. I'm going to have to spend some time on this one because I didn't put a twin excluder in that one. So as a rule, my tractor lifts. It'll lift and move 4. It won't lift 4 very high, but I don't need to lift them high to get them from here to the honey house. So I'll probably put 2 more on there, even though there's 2 mediums, which is more than 1 deep, because this one is pretty much empty. Oh, I think I know what I'm going to have to do here. I gotta figure out where the queen is. If I can figure out where the brood is, then I can set an escape on here. Oy, oy. I got both. Oh, that's all the way up. Okay, what do? I think maybe I get another box and shuffle these frames over. There might be brood in here. I'm betting there is. There's nothing saying the queen's not in here, but she's more likely down a little lower. We'll see what's in here. I just forgot to set a queen excluder. Look at the trouble it's caused me. So that's a honey frame. That's a honey frame. You take brood in a honey house, you get a lot of bees. That's another honey frame. So I'm not trying to get the frames depopulated to harvest. I'm trying to get confident the queen is in the bottom. And I see sealed brood on this one. I sure hope I see the queen. It'll make my job a whole lot easier and quicker. There's sealed brood, but there's no eggs and no young larvae, so it tells me she's abandoned laying up here for now. There's some younger larvae, but just a couple of eggs that she has maybe moved down recently. And just the trouble, there's all this brood. I can't leave it in the honey box. I definitely have to check the third. I might be making a split with all this brood. Some pretty decent frames. See how much brood is in the bottom. Sometimes they'll lay on the second box and then there's really nothing in the bottom. So this is going to take a while. I should have a pro nuke handy. If I find that queen, set her in there. Here's the aforementioned pro nuke. Used in this manner, this will be called a quiet box. I see people on YouTube using a thing they call a quiet box. That's just a little box set to the side to hold frames, maybe brood and bees you're going to use for a split, or something to protect your queen while you work. I think it's a great idea. Okay, so there's a couple frames of brood there. And then she has quite apparently moved downstairs. Or upstairs. She might be in the third box, I don't know. Some of these caps are a little too prominent for my comfort. Guess the first question isn't where's the queen. First question is there a queen? That's a nice honey frame on that side. Okay. Well, I can say quite certainly there's no queen in that box. Let's look down here. They're not happy with me, are they? No. From what I'm seeing right here, it doesn't look good. The sun is over here. It's going to be a little harder to see. I wonder why I do that, just to knock the fuel to the bottom. Just be careful though, you hurt your hand pretty easy. Okay. Please, let's find evidence of a laying queen. I think this is a 2021 queen. At least it was. Look at them come. Look at them boil up through there. It's these big fall colonies. Oh, they're so hard to manage. Looks like the story frame might be my best choice. Just watched Ian doing some varroa testing, but he couldn't even see the top bars. There were so many bees. These colonies are looking really good. They get so full, you know, he pulled the honey off, pushed them down, and they get so full. Okay, well that's looking pretty good. There's some different stages of larvae. She's actually been laying drones too, which is, you know, kind of pointless, I think, but obviously she doesn't. There's sealed brood here. If there's enough frames, I was going to say, if there's enough frames I can take out, that I'll put that sealed brood in, or that brood in here. But I have it, you know, I got those 2 native queens over there that could use a boost. And I'm wondering if something like this would be my answer. I can just take that brood from upstairs. It has to be sealed brood though. You don't want to give a little nuke a whole bunch of open brood to feed. I still have to determine if there's a laying queen in here. I see sealed brood, but that doesn't tell me what I need to know. I wish I had colonies like this in May. I could split. That would be nice, eh? I could make like 10 splits over every colony. See, I'm seeing some sealed brood. I'm not seeing a lot of eggs and larvae. I did see a little bit of open brood on that story frame. But again, she might be in the 3rd box working, so then she certainly wouldn't have anything laid in the bottom. I wish I hadn't forgot that. Just makes things difficult. More sealed brood. There's a little bit of larva that's like day 7. Very, very big and plump. Nice and white though, just snow white. That's what you want to see. That's healthy. Should definitely get some patties. This is just all bee bread. Okay, gonna have to look in that 3rd box. Get this back. Oh, get this back together. Okay. Get my shaker box back on here. This is going to be a wild time because there's going to be so many bees shaking into that box. This is a 9-frame box, so the honey frames are really drawn out fat. Not as fat as I've seen, but heavy, really heavy. So that discussion about medium versus deep, that's an age-old discussion, I think. Because my friend who's running mediums, I don't know, she's running maybe 24 colonies or so. And she's kind of more sideline. She's got more sideline time to devote to it. And so she doesn't invest in machines and things. I got my tractor, I've got my Backsaver 6100. You know, I can kind of justify some costs that way. You know, and she said, yeah, I can't afford that, but I made the point that, you know, it's a trade-off. There's a equilibrium, a break-even point, because if I want to say I want to run all mediums, then immediately my box and frame inventory is going to cost me 30% more money, because a medium costs the same as a deep, frames and boxes. And there's some sealed brood here, and so therefore I'd need an increase in equipment right away. So I guess at a certain point, you know, if I have 10 colonies, I can say I'll put the money into mediums and don't buy machines. Then that's an economically sound decision. And then if I'm running 1,000 colonies, I'll say I'll save money on deeps and buy machines, which will ultimately save me my back, because even lifting mediums by hand, even though they're not as heavy as deeps, they're still, you know, it's a lot of lifting. I can tell when I go to town, I take my honey to town, I'll take 600 pounds in and I'll pick 600 pounds up, bring it home. So I can lift, you know, 1,200 pounds, 600 out of the truck, 600 in the truck, and then I have to unload the truck at home. So there's another 600. I had to load it in the truck to begin with, but I do that with the tractor for the most part. I feel like I got a bee up my shirt. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. Okay, well, I'm really not finding a lot of brood up here. I think I'm going to need to queen check this. I'll put an escape on it and queen check it once I take the honey. That's a homegrown 2021 queen. Got a medium box there. I think I'll shake out this medium. This was foundation. So this was foundation drawn straight out of the box. It's really nice. Sure is a slow way to harvest honey. And it won't be long before they start robbing. right in the end of the index finger. A lot of nerves there. Son of a gun, that hurts. Ooh. It's the ones that hide under the end bar. Waiting for me. It's like they conspire. Hey, wait over here. He won't see you here. You're right. He doesn't. Okay, so what am I going to do with this? It's a mess. I can't put an escape. I can't put brood above an escape. That just won't work at all. So, do I need to sort all of the brood in the bottom like I said before? I think I do. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Working along fine, and then things escalate really fast. Okay, I'm going to take the honey out of this box, put it on the stack here, and then see how many brood frames I got left. Should have done this the first time through. That's a brood frame. So, people ask, should I use queen excluders? Well, you should use queen excluders if you want to use queen excluders. This is one of the realities if you don't. You gotta cherry pick. You can't just pull a box. If you got half a dozen hives, it's fine. No big deal. I got 150. Enough time for this. I'll put this over here. That'll be my brood frames. There was milk brood in the story frame. Oh, there's all kinds of milk brood. I think eggs too in here. Yeah, all right. I think we have a queen. I just hope I didn't mess up the queen with all my horsing around. And I have one more honey frame, then we'll fit in my box. So I have a 9 frame box there that I just squeezed down to 10. Put that in there. Okay, so there's my first 8. I'm going to call it 8 honey boxes. But now I need to transfer. It looks like 8 frames of brood. Son of a gun. 8 frames of brood into there. Just because I missed the queen excluder. There's bees everywhere. The entire front of both of these hives is just thick with bees. 2 or 3 or 4 bees deep. I'm gonna sit on a bee. Okay. Let's do this again. I think the story frame had brood, so I'm not going to take that. Get this end one. Now I still don't know where the queen is, so I'll have to be careful. Nice pollen frames. It's a shame to take those out. If I have a flow, it may be coming to an end because I hear the neighbor making hay. Cut down the last of that alfalfa. I got a little alfalfa patch here, but for this many colonies, it doesn't amount to that much. Okay, there's a little bit of milk brood in that. Gosh darn it! Pinched another one. Son of a gun. It's just hard, so hard to manage. So hard to manage this many bees. So hard to manage. They squash a lot too, which I really hate. Not good. You know, Ian and Bob and them, they can take the lid off and go, okay, brood, 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 and that's it, and they'll just pop the rest of them out or something. I'm not that good. I gotta look at them, especially, you know, if it's just milk brood or even eggs. I can see. Oop, squash one there. I can see a sealed brood this way, but that's just open comb, so, you know, I still have 8 frames. What have I taken out? 2? I need to take 6 more out, and I've only got 4 more to look at. What in the world am I going to do? Make a split, that's what. That's bee bread. So what is that? Again, it's a good resource to take away from them, but scoot one aside and 3 and 4 more show up. Okay, that's sealed brood there. Still trying to find that queen just so I know where she is. Bad time to kill a queen. Never good to kill a queen, but it's a really bad time to kill a queen. I think this one is sealed brood too. This is. Bee bread. Bee bread. Got a lot of that. Alright. This is the open brood here. It's just not much open brood in this colony. I didn't give them a pollen patty. Actually, nobody got a pollen patty except those I set the escapes on. I'm trying to give her the open brood. It worries me a little. There's some drone cells in the middle down there. I'm not sure what that's about. It might have been just misshapen comb. Yeah, I'm just not seeing eggs and larvae. What do I do? These bees are wondering what in the world is going on. Stuck on the clip. There we go. Okay, bees. I'm going to put an excluder on this, and I'm going to put this box on there. I'm going to leave these brood frames in the middle, and then I'll be able to take that as a split for for my mated queen over in the corner. It doesn't matter if it's full. I'm not going to draw a lot of comb this time of year. And I won't be on here very long. I'll be on here a couple days or whenever I get around to actually taking care of it. Okay, so that was a pain in the butt. Right in the middle of my little harvesting program. Since I've freed up an escape, and I could have taken 3, but I haven't yet. I think I'll just lift this one off and set this escape on this colony. It's a little harder doing it by yourself. Get the smoker tuned up here. Crack the box. Okay, that feels pretty good. Now they don't care for that maneuver. So that lifter will sit there, not by much, and it does kind of sink down. So I need to do my job. Get my job done here. Well, it's always a little disconcerting that there's not many bees in that box. Nice hot day. They're out working. Okay, so that's good. And I'll continue to pull from this side over here. Quick look under the lid. That looks good. Not a lot in this box. I think they've been eating it. Okay. Not gonna be tons and tons of honey this year. Sure, a lot of empty space under there. Just trying to be real careful not to take a bunch of bees. I invariably get a whack of bees in my honey house, and it just makes extracting such a pain. Always seems to be a few. There's going to be a few, always a few. Sure, there's more bees in here than there. It's one thing about the conical escape, you can see right down through there. The triangle one you can't. Oh look, there's a hive tool right there. This is my American made hive tool though, I prefer them. Still gotta move my swarm. Boy, it just looks like to me they've been eating a lot of this honey. And that doesn't do me any good at all. I'm not good at knowing when the flow comes and goes. In a week I was torn from my work. I should have been out here. Don't lift any higher. That's it. That's what happens when you leave your harvest too late. Bees eat the honey. It was a low yield year anyway. Pretty upset. Pretty upset. There's nobody gonna make that up for me. Sorry for the sniffling, I seem to have a runny nose. See, this one is, I could just see, I'll show you what I'm seeing here. It's just, it just looks like open comb, really. There's some nectar in there. I didn't even test it. It's the 1st of September. I wet it dry. I gotta take it. There's nothing at all in that one. I've got to take it. Simple as that. That box wouldn't be very heavy. Heavy or not, we got the machine. They are deep, so they're heavy when they're empty. Kind of tricky to get the box sitting on the clips just right, so if there's just one like this, I'll do it manually. Always good. Okay, I'll go to this one. I'll be able to harvest probably all of these escapes today. Reset them. Thursday, come back on maybe Sunday. Got another good friend coming on Saturday, hopefully, if he can make it. Oh boy. Yeah, see, this is pretty much empty comb too. Look at that. Do you think there's any honey in that? I'll set it here. It'll cycle through the honey house, get sorted out into whatever it happens to be. Like these, you see, there's about three or four frames of foundation here. They'll go in the honey house and get sorted into foundation boxes and re-waxed. Once they're waxed, Bob's your uncle. Or draw those right away. Such a beautiful day. I don't know what it is out here. It's 25, 26 degrees probably. I have a question for the group wisdom. One of the challenges I have every year is, particularly in this yard, because I typically carry more colonies in this yard than my out yard. And one of the challenges I have is that, and this is one of the challenges with single brood chamber management. Once I pull this honey, there might not be much honey on board, and because then there's not much honey, I want to get these bees fed. Boy, that's an empty box of mediums there. So and it's hard to harvest a yard in a day, or maybe even 2 days. With weather sometimes doesn't cooperate. So the question is, when I set my escapes, when I have my escapes set on every colony in the yard, meaning I've either pulled honey like I am today, so that the colony will either have no honey supers at all, or the colony has honey supers with an escape. So is it okay at that point to feed the colonies with a pail, to do pail feeding on the colonies that don't have any honey supers, even with the honey supers in the yard like this that are above the escapes? I tend to think yes, because the bees aren't gonna, it's pail feeding, first of all, so it's not open feeding, it's not internal feeding. So these colonies shouldn't be exposed to very much syrup. We know it's not a perfect world, so it's always going to leak. They're always going to rob some. So they're going to rob some syrup, but even if they do rob some syrup, A, how much are they going to rob in a day or two? I know they can get quite a bit though. And B, there's an escape here. So if they're bringing that syrup into this brood chamber, is my honey in danger of adulteration, is what I'm asking. So think about that and give me your opinion in the comments. I keep meaning to ask my mentor that, and I just don't remember to ask him that. These mediums, I think, are empty. Oh geez, same thing. Cycle them through the honey house. And again, I could blindly pick up all 3 of these boxes, even 4 at a time, and I've done that. It works okay. It's heavier on the machine, it's fewer trips, fewer up-down cycles, but you also get more bees in the honey house, because if there's 1 or 2 that aren't cleared, you don't get to catch that. There seem to be too many bees in this one. And I think I know what might be going on here. Some of these are pretty tall. You see this one's really tall. That is not organic. Meaning, I was taking down some failed colonies or whatever, and I stuck some frames up on top of these, and there might have been brood in those. So there's brood. If there's brood, there's bees. They're not going to clear. So I'm going to investigate. This is maybe where I need to get a fume board. Fume board should work good today. Nice hot sunny day. What you want to make sure is you don't have a queen in here. No eggs. I think it's just genuinely an escape that didn't work as well as it could have. Okay, I'm going to grab a fume board for that. So that's a fume board. It has a black top. This is made of coroplast. Personally, I don't think that's the best product for it, because you want the bottom side to be warm by the sun. And it's a felt here and just a wooden rim. Pretty basic. This is Honey Bandit. It smells like wedding cake. I had one guy phone me, actually talked to me for an hour and told me I used too much. Maybe I do. The bees don't like that smell, and it only takes a couple of minutes and they move down. So I've got, I don't know if I have 10 of them, but normally if you need to use them, then you just go along and set a bunch and then come back, and by the time you've set a few, they've cleared out of the first few. I can hear the bees in this one, but I hope there's no bees in it because it sure is heavy. I think I'm going to put another fume board on that. I'm not going to tell you how much of this to put on. Honestly, I don't really know what would be the right answer. You figure it out. You just experiment. Kind of dirty. Put some on, and if it doesn't work, then put a little bit more on. I don't know. Not a how-to. Gotta know how to. You're on the wrong channel. That one's completely empty. That's a comb super, and so is this. I'd show you, but I don't want to take those out of there. It can damage the comb. These are foundationless medium frames used for comb. Okay, those are pretty clear, so I'm going to try and pick those up. The place smells like wedding cake. Check this out. Watch Gus Mitchell do this, and he says he put it cornerways like that. With my extra box there, it's a little harder. We'll see. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Still a cluster of bees here. This is going to be a manual shakeout. There's quite certainly no queen in here, but problem is there are always bees in the box you can't get out, no matter what. We'll scrape them out. Oh, I'm gonna end up with a few bees in there. No, don't go back in there, you crazy bees. Heading back for it. I need to pick that up. Well, that's good timing because I got it all played out just about the time I ran out of escapes. So I pulled all the honey off the escapes we set the other day, and then I reset those escapes here, and bees are after me. They're not happy at all. So I leave the lifter out here, and there's got a little solar panel on it that recharges that battery for me by the time I come back. So that's it for today. It's really quite warm out here, and the bees are getting kind of wild. So I'm gonna head in. We'll come in, maybe tomorrow or the next day and maybe do some more. So take care and have fun.